Let's try this again. Good morning, we'll say.
Good morning, Diana.
Hey, we all know what time. It's good to see all the smiling faces here in the sanctuary, and good morning to all of you on Zoom. This is the Will Say service for this morning, and we're going to sing our traditional opening song. We all know what time it is. What time is it? It's time to stand. Come on, everybody. It's time to stand like a people. You know it's time to stand like a people today. It's time to stand like a people. Stand up and say, no more wondering, we are finally on our way. Again, it's time to stand. It's time to stand like a people. It's time to stand like a people today. It's time to stand like a people. Stand up and say, no more wondering, we are finally on our way. Brothers and sisters, we need you all today. There's work to do as a people, and it won't go away. We're chosen, called by heaven to do the work that must be done. Alive with faith and purpose to keep my people together as one. It's time to stand. It's time to stand like a people. You know it's time. It's time to stand like a people today. It's time to stand like a people. Stand up and say, no more wandering, we are finally on our way. Our children need to see themselves in a much more positive light. To see that nothing is impossible when they strive with all their might. We must build the schools that will teach us like Eli Omade. They are children of kings and queens. It's up to us to save them. Let us work and build and sing. You know it's time to stand like a people. You know it's time to stand like a people today. It's time to stand like a people. Stand up and say, no more wondering, we are finally on our way. Our mothers and fathers and elders, they have given us all they can. They stood up and fought to protect us in this hard and bitter land. Their trials must give us courage. Every woman, every man, it's up to us. None are free, that's all. We pledge our lives to take back our land. You know it's time to stand like a people. good to see all you smiling faces. Good to see you. We're going to open up as we traditionally do with honoring the ancestors. I'm going to ask Minister Rhonda, who we haven't seen in a while. Minister Rhonda has, well, we'll talk a little bit more about her later. I'm invited up before that. Minister Rhonda. Tap, what's that? Good to see you all. Good to see you all, and good to hear that bass beat on "It's Time to Stand Like the People." That was good. Going to start today with a reading from the Lucia. You know, I don't know if you all are like me, but every once in a while you just open up one of our books and see where it lands, see what it opened up to, and see if that was the message that was for you. And with thinking about pouring libation today, I actually could not find this. So I had to scramble to my mom's. And in doing that, I opened it to something that I read it 4 times, and on the 5th time, I said, I got it. We pour libation for multiple reasons. One of those reasons is to honor those who have gone on before us, who have done righteous work. Looking at that righteous family right out there in front of me, heads of our beautiful school here, and the wife to the head of our beautiful school here, looking at some righteous people in front of us who do good work. And we pour libation, we honor them. We want to remember them. We want to let them know that they are still in our hearts, that our spirits are still intertwined, interconnected, and can still work together. Let them know that as African people, we truly believe that we have a benefit and an ability to work through different realms at the same time and be able to reach out, reach back, reach up, reach down, and work together and call on each other. So this is what came. It was on page 33 of the Hosea, and it stands to number 6. And I'm gonna see if you get it the first time. You all are all much brighter than me. I see it. So I'm gonna see if you get it when it comes to this Hosea. It says, one who lessens falsehood encourages truth. One who supports good diminishes evil. Even as satisfaction comes and ends hunger, and clothing removes nakedness, even as the sky becomes calm after a storm and warms all who are cold, even as fire cooks that which is raw and water quenches thirst. He who cheats diminishes justice, but justice rightly given neither falls short nor brims over. Do not delay, deal with the matter at hand. If you separate, who will join? The sounding pole is in your hand. Take the measurements. Surely the water is shallow. And if the boat runs aground, its cargo will ride on shore. What I took this, and the way this landed in me, was thinking about today, this moment, this day, this hour is the time. Time to stand like a people. Time to encourage others to practice our traditions. Time to enlighten people about the books that we read, those that we really found special and important to us and to our being. Time to open the doors wider, if that's what we need to do, to get more people in here than those that are out of here. Time to ritualistically, religiously, faithfully practice those things that we say make a difference. And pouring libation just being one of them. It is time. I'm going to start our libation by pouring for a young lady who I met in Africa on this last part of my journey, who I found out just shortly after I left. She had died of time. She was 12 years old. And you know, it's really different when you spend a lot of time in Africa, because you hear things and hear things differently. And I had to understand that there are children who need children to talk to.
there are children who aren't at the age yet within their maturity where what we say to them as adults necessarily sinks in properly or makes sense because they have to evolve. But they can talk to a child, another child who has been blessed to be closer even to Amun-Ra and who can give them some insight and some information that they need. So it's with that that I call Lordina Yadav and ask her to be with us. And
Be with us.
to being with the ancestors. And I'll ask you to please call on whomever you like, but call it out loud so that I can hear you.
Rebecca Price.
Ms. Leroy and Hazel Khan.
Burnell Warren.
Mr. and Mrs. Eugene and Lily Mae Young Senior.
Ruby Scott. Fred Jones.
Ashe, come and be with us.
Teresa Lewis.
Ashe, come and be with us.
Barbara Kwame Chavez. Sister Harvetta. Tiffany Hughes.
Ashe, come and be with us. Ashe, come and be with us.
Alton.
Gregory Latham.
Larry Price.
Ashe, come and be with us.
Minister Lizelle Williams.
Ashe, come and be with us.
Peter Laurie.
Sister Valerie of Gadsden Sam's.
Ashe, come and be with us. Ashe, come and be with us. Dr. John and Dr. Catherine Faith.
Ashe.
Mildred Fulton.
Sister Bianca Dexter.
Ashe, come and be with
Mary and Eldridge Lyons.
us. Ashe, come and be with us.
Alma Garcia and Baba Willie Thompson.
Ashe,
Rick Gates.
Ashe,
Billy Guillory. Adam B. Well.
Baba Pete Evans.
come and be with us.
Maurice Bishop.
Ashe, come and be with us.
Anthony Loxley.
Ashe, come and be with us.
My grandfather, Robert L. Davis.
Ashe, come and be with
Joseph Lyons.
us. Ashe, come and be with us.
Oscar Samuel Ridley. Senior.
Ashe,
Father Marcus Jefferson.
come and be with us.
Marie McIntosh.
Barbara Bjorn.
Betty Lyons.
Ashe, come and be with us.
Mama McKeenya.
Ashe, come and be with us.
Sister Omi Tola.
Ashe, come and be with us.
Robert L. Davis.
Ashe, come and be with us.
I did a little kid.
Ashe, come and be with
Brother Tashaka Muhammad.
us. Come and be with us. Professor Claude and Daima Clark. Ashe,
My friend Achitan.
come and be with us.
All right, everyone. I'm going to thank you all for participating. Thank you all for allowing yourself to feel whatever it was that that person's name invokes in you, to feel and to remember. I thank you all who have been called for coming.
See.
I thank you. I thank you, Amun-Ra, for giving us these people together of one faith, of one mind, of one love. Give us the power to do more, to share more, to spread it more. We need it so much. We call on the ancestors because we know that you can go places we can't go. You can do work that we can't do, and we need you. We need you today and tomorrow. We need you.
Yes, yes.
Share.
Ashe, Ashe.
So we will go straight into announcements with Minister Imhotep. Come forward, please.
Yes, indeed. All right, announcements for today, Sunday, November 3rd. Join us tomorrow and Friday for intercessory prayer. Our Love Supreme Ministry, 5:30 a.m. Pacific time. Love to see you there. We have a number of prayer warriors that join us, and I know that it's early, but we'd like to have more. So if you'd like to start your day off with prayer with your Wilsey community, we invite you to come. And we're going to put this in the chat for those of you that would like to join us, because we're using a particular Zoom and phone ID, not the usual one that's found on the website. On Saturday, November 16th, Sister Sabrina will be bringing timeless jazz and soul classics, 2251 Florin Road, Sacramento, inside of Florin Square, otherwise known as the African Marketplace. Right. And Mama Darnisha's trip to Ghana will take place December 19th through 30th. And her information is here. We'll put this flyer in the chat. Looks like a great trip. Kumasi, Accra, Cape Coast. Look, if you want to spend the holidays in Ghana, please contact Mama Darnisha. Brother Wayne Chandler is having a trip, the Alchemy of Inner Empowerment Retreat. It's going to be in Costa Rica, and we'll drop this flyer in the chat. Looks like a great 9-day, 6-night stay. Qigong, female cultivation, yoga, and meditation. That's all I have right now. If there are other announcements, we invite you to come forward. Ashe.
Ashe family. Look, I know we lost an hour of sleep. There ain't no reason or excuses for zombie. Ashe family.
Ashe.
All right.
Hey, I thought we got an extra
I
hour.
have a couple of more announcements. One, I'm really excited and proud to name the new members orientation class.
Ashe.
Starting November the 25th. You do not have to be a new member to participate on it. Online there is, if you contact Baba Tai, you'll know when the time starts.
Yes.
On November the 25th and how to get engaged in it. But I went through it, it was awesome. And there were other people that weren't even new members that also participated. And we are really pleased that we actually have some new members. Like Sister Sakina, who is going to be part of that class. The second announcement is, I was probably the most confused. So I'll just say for myself, but we do have a resolution about the anniversary date and time.
Okay.
It is actually the first Sunday in December, following tradition, and a vote that was revoted and voted again. And so as the COE has decided, it is December the first Sunday in December. So I'm just gonna make it short and sweet. Other than that,
Just a reminder about Women of Wolsey. Wow, we'll be meeting on the 13th of November, Wednesday, after Black Knowledge Matters.
so Mama Connie, the Women of WOW, December the 13th,
Yes, excuse me,
November the 13th,
November.
November 13th will be meeting as well. Any others in-house? All right, I'll check.
Recording See, when I said family, they texted me already talking about Why did you say they sharper than you? Say, with regard to the seer. But now I'm not one who can admit that there are some folks sharper than me, and I hope they will sit down with me and let me learn from them. That's family that I'm talking about. Yeah, but you guys, your siblings. So what we have next is going to be, my mouth isn't ready to say this, but Baba Desmond will be talking with us about the election upcoming. And because I would think the majority of us who are going to vote have voted already, that we don't need a lot of time. So we're going to keep it to under 5 minutes, Baba Desmond. So I got to fix my face to say that. So if you would please come.
I will say community. I do have. I was supposed to get 10 minutes, and but before then, I had 2 announcements that the book study is going on. Hello.
Go.
You guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
we
the
hear
book.
you.
Go ahead.
The book study is going on, and so we had a late start. But it is going on. And if you don't have the book, I will put it in the chat. The first 50 pages. We got to scan the book. I don't have a full PDF copy, but we are going to be doing it in sections, 50 pages at a time. So we're just getting started. So join with us. We did see we'll be using the main service site. So if you clicked on the book study link on our webpage, I saw that we're no longer using that link. So we're using the main service link.
What's the book, Desmond?
The book is Maat, the Guiding Principles. So I will put it in the chat. And we start at 9 a.m. And another announcement, I did have on the 27th of October, Sunday, I did have a baby boy. And so now I am officially a boy. So yeah. So I'm still adjusting. Gonna have a lot of adjustments. So I'm still processing everything and still coming up with the name. Using the African tradition, they come up with the name on the 7th day, which is today, would be the 7th day from last Sunday. And I'm still looking at everyone different names, and so keep the child in your prayers. So far, the mom is calling him Kingsley, so I'm thinking about Kingsley, Kyrie, Iman, Kashaka, but there may be adjustments. But keep him in your prayers because there were some complications. He does have to take some medication, and he's still trying to grow out of some deficiencies that he's facing. So, but he's a strong baby boy, and I think he'll be with us. But he's still growing. He's in the NICU unit at the Children's Hospital. So hopefully next week we could bring him home. And after his immune system builds up, I'd love to bring him to the Wose community family for you guys to meet him. I'll be sharing some pictures soon. Okay.
We welcome this music. You have 3 minutes.
Okay. Meanwhile, let's get into the ballot propositions. As you know, the election is this Tuesday, and some of you guys may have been on the edge, haven't filled out your ballot yet. But if you haven't, hopefully this will help you in navigating through the confusion of our ballot measures, tricky language. I'm going to do this real quick. I'm basically saying all the ballot measures are, I think they do their job, are pretty good, except 2, when we get to those last 2. So we have Prop 2 that authorizes bonds for public schools and community colleges facilities. It authorizes $10 billion in general obligation bonds for repair, upgrade, and construction at K-12 public schools, charter schools, community colleges, and career technical education programs, which we kind of know as ROP, and apprentice programs. And that I think will help us get more money to the community. Prop 3, constitutional right to marriage. So this changes the language, amends California's constitution to recognize fundamental right to marry regardless of sex, race, and removes the language in the California Constitution stating the marriage is only between a man and a woman. But this is for all people regardless of just gender, but it also deals with race as well. Both those do no harm. Proposition 4 authorizes bonds for safe drinking water, wildfire prevention, and protecting communities and natural lands from climate risks. This authorizes $10 billion for water, wildfire prevention, and protection of community lands, allows states to borrow money to repair and build for safe public drinking water, climate, and wildfire protection across the state, especially those living near the coastline and hills. But it also is going to address those that are living in the central and the valley area, where they don't get as much water as and resources as you could say LA and the Bay Area. So this is going to address those remote areas as well. It does no harm. Proposition 5 allows bonds for affordable housing and public infrastructure with 55% voter approval. It just goes by a majority instead of a super majority, which usually for bonds and any type of money for public infrastructure, you had to get a super majority, like 2/3 vote. There was no harm. Prop 6, this is one that should all be on our radar. Eliminates the constitutional provision allowing involuntary servitude for incarcerated persons. This eliminates slavery in prison. This proposition will not allow prison labor to be exploited by corporations or any private interest. This is long overdue, considering slavery is a violation of human rights, even for those in prison. And so a lot of private companies are profiting, and they say sometimes the prison industrial complex is, relies and they rely on the labor, and they make a lot of profit from the labor that they get from these prisons and institutions, while those in those institutions are basically almost working for free and get cents up, get compensated very, very low, kind of cents or $1 an hour, very low. Proposition 32 raises minimum wage. This raises minimum wage in California from 17 an hour to 18 in 2024 to $18 an hour in 2025. This is good, especially as the cost of living goes up, people's wages need to go up. There may be some businesses that steer towards automation, or those businesses that may lay off, but this actually raises the minimum wage so people can work where they live. Prop 33, there's a lot of confusion about this. I'm writing an article right now, but Prop 33 expands local government authority to enact rent control on residential property. This allows rent control to be set locally, expands the power of local government to enact rent control and vacancy control to help the affordable housing crisis, affordability crisis. And so this expands, what this does, it basically expands rent control across the state, and it removes the Costa-Hawkins Act, which, if you're not aware, rent control is only allowed on buildings that were really kind of built before 1995. This will allow buildings after 1995, like all these new constructions and all the buildings that have been built, a lot of them don't have rent control, it's only the old buildings. And so people can't afford it. The best way to stop homelessness is to work on keeping people in the homes that currently have them, and also making sure that those buildings don't, escalate. And I'll say make sure people are able to afford, and I'll come back to that. But basically, let's just keep it affordable. There's a lot of people saying no on 33, including our own NAACP, California State, the California State Conference, and California and Hawaii State Conference. I'm totally opposed to their statement. So please vote yes. A lot of confusion on that. So Prop 33 helps us. Now, Prop 34, I believe, does harm to the community. It actually restricts, this one restricts spending on prescription drug revenues by certain healthcare providers. This proposition would restrict funding of safety net healthcare providers who serve and offer prescription drug discounts and services to California's most vulnerable and low-income people, and leave massive funding gaps in other areas. Just to be real quick, this is kind of to offset Prop 33 if it passes. There's already some institutions that have a lot of revenue left over from prescription drugs discounts, and they use that to provide housing, low-income housing, and they're trying to take that away. So Prop 34 does harm to the community. I'm not voting for it. Prop 35 provides funding for Medi-Cal healthcare services. This proposition will keep in place current funding sources for some Medi-Cal healthcare programs and services. So this one actually does help the community, and I think we need, right now the funding source is temporary. This will provide funding, permanent funding for Medi-Cal services. Prop 36 allows felony charges and increases sentences for drug and theft crimes. Basically, this is 3 strikes all over again, point blank. And so they're trying to bring it back, more charges, increase prison industrial. This is pushed by the prison industrial complex and will increase prison time. So this does harm to the community. We're against 3 strikes, the 3 strikes law, and we still are. Well, at least I am. But I see this as doing harm because it actually could get, as I finished reading, this proposition will allow people who will steal any item of value less than $940 as a small candy bar with a felony federal crime, and increase jail and prison sentences for theft and certain drug use. This proposed law would ensure that anyone who has ever felt desperate enough to steal, no matter how small, could be given a federal charge that will make it harder for them to find honest work and turn their lives around. This is a mean-spirited law to penalize the poor, desperate, depressed, and vulnerable for failures of our system to provide affordable housing, adequate jobs, and with living wages. So that does it for our California proposition. Prop 34 and Prop 36 does harm, while the other ones provide many benefits. Finishing up, there's 3 ballot measures in Oakland. If you live in Oakland, measure MM and N and OO. OO is an ordinance to adopt a special tax to support wildfire prevention efforts in the city wildfire prevention zones. Those are mostly in the hills. That might be on your ballot, might not. It depends if you live in that zone. Measure NN funds citywide violence reduction services such as 911 dispatch, community policing, the mobile crisis response unit known as MACRO, and violence interrupters. Basically, a lot of this money, which was formerly Measure Z for public safety, I think I have it listed here. I'm almost done, guys. Trying to rush. Can't see it, blocked off on my screen. But basically, okay, yeah, this was formerly the Public Safety and Services Violence Prevention Commission, and they're going to change the name to the Oakland Public Safety and Oversight Commission. And so this money, a lot of this money goes to our nonprofits and community groups as well. So I think this helps the community and actually provides different measures of policing besides just having OPD in the police. So it's positive. OO amends the charter and the municipal code to revise qualifications and restrictions for the Public Ethics Commission to allow the commission to set the attorney and city auditor salaries biannually. That's every other year rather than yearly. And just to let you know, our great senator is in line. We are aligned on the same thinking path. She's yes for most of the California propositions, and also says no on Prop 34 and 36. And basically what she says for Prop 34 is revenge for rent control measures. And for Prop 36, she says no, it restarts a failed costly war on drugs. And there we have it. I will stop there and thank you. Sorry, we're going over. I was trying to rush.
Thank you. Very important.
We have a question. We have a question from Mama Keisha.
Stop. Yes, Mama Keisha.
Thank you. I just wanted to comment on number
33
Yeah.
and ask people when they got their flyer from the NAACP in saying no, please read all the way at the bottom who is sponsoring this measure, and you will find it's the same people who would benefit if we got rid of rent control. So the sponsors are very important.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for saying that. And if you look at same time, back in 2000, the president of NAACP was Alice Huffman. And there were several bills or several propositions that would have supported the community. They all voted no.
I'm sorry, we can't.
And so that was horrible. It's an article in the LA Times and I think the San Francisco Chronicle, you can look up and Google. Last but not least, I'm going to put in the chat. You want to know if your ballot has been received or where it is in the process. You're going to click this link, and I'm going to put it in the chat right now. It's a ballot tracker, and if you're in the chat, let me put it in right now. Let's see where we are.
Thank you so much for that, and everybody, please pick that up. I actually felt good when, I haven't gotten my thing this year yet, but last year when I got the one saying that they had received it and all that, I felt good. So again, thank you so much, Baba Desmond, for coming. Don't worry, you went quickly, but it was, we were able to get everything. And I just want to also say that Wose as a community is not endorsing or recommending any of these particular measures. We are simply providing someone who can give you and share with you their opinion on these different things, give you some different angles to consider in making your decision. But we as an organization are not personally or endorsing any of these options. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to go forward with a song from the Sounds of Maat, and then that's going to be followed by the historical tribute with Mama Sia. Yeah.
Greetings, well say fam. This is a traditional one where y'all got to come on and sing this one. Put a little twist on it. Children of the Sun, y'all remember that one?
Minister Magalisi song. Thank you, Minister Magalisi.
5, 6, y'all sing it.
Yes, we are. Will be the light. Will be the
What happened?
The holy word. Well, let me say, I come to OSA for a lot of reasons, right? But one of the main reasons that I come is because we have outstanding examples of Black families, right? And to have outstanding examples of Black family, you have to have outstanding examples of Black mothers and Black women, right? And that's what we get here at OSA. And one of the sisters that I have admired and who has inspired me since I came here. Outstanding mother, outstanding sister, always helpful, always has a smile on her face. And I want to introduce her now to do this morning's historical tribute. Mama C.
Go ahead, Mama C. Go ahead. Go ahead, Mama C. Go ahead.
Touch to the children of the advice.
I say.
Okay, so we come to that part of the service. I am being told by the minister to lower the mic. Is that better? Okay. So we come to that part of the service, historical tribute. And I haven't done one in years.
Yes.
Baba Time reminded me of that. And so I am here today. And last month, especially when the ballots and things were coming out and about the election and all that, I received a jury summons. And you know how we are
we get a jury summons.
Yeah.
We don't necessarily pay attention to it, or what do? We try to avoid it, we try to get the excuse, all of that. And when I was thinking about the election and all of that, and I looked at it and I said, okay, I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it. And it helped the fact that on the postcard, it was some stronger language on the postcard this time than I had noticed this last time. It basically said that you did not reply or respond last time, so you may be subject to a $1,500 fine and some other things. So that kind of prompted me to say, okay, I should probably respond. And so I did. How many people have actually reported for jury duty? Nice show of hands there. Okay, and how many people felt like it was their civic duty to do so? Okay, kind of, sort of, yes. Okay, so it got me to thinking. Our ancestors fought for the right to vote.
Yes.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, some of our ancestors also looked at that and said, in order for me to become a citizen, I should be able to be on the jury, especially if one of us are being tried.
Yes.
And so for many ancestors, they saw being on a jury as a path to citizenship. And some of them saw citizenship as a path to be on a jury. So when researching this, I just found it very interesting. And I said, And then when Baba Tai asked me, I said, I may have something. So I want to look at our first ancestors who were documented to have been on juries and how that came about. And so when looking at this, I came across research done by a professor at the University of Virginia, the School of Law, and just from reading, found out that was the second oldest school of law in the country. So I was like, okay. So it was historically, it was documented that these two brothers who were barbers were the first Black people to actually be on juries. And when this professor started researching, he accidentally came across another ancestor who was actually documented to have been the first. And the way that he came about it was that he was looking through what I learned, something else. He was looking through a free-person petition for voluntary enslavement, which I didn't even know that existed. And it's where free people petition to be enslaved or re-enslaved in order to be able to live with their family members. Again, I had never heard of that. And so this was in a box when he, at the University of Virginia School of Law, and his name is Frampton, Professor Frampton, when he was looking for documentation of the first Black jurors. And he was actually looking through this box when he came across this brother, Andrew Barlin, of all places, Natchez, Mississippi, 1824. And it was his petition to be afforded the rights of white citizens, including the right to serve on a jury. And this was in 1824. Now, just a little bit of background on Barlin. He was enslaved the first 5 years of his life in Natchez, Mississippi. William Barlin, the Scottish landowner and enslaver who purchased Barlin, his mother, and his siblings from a friend's nearby plantation, was documented to be the biological father of Andrew and his siblings. When I say biological father, you can say rapist, whatever you like. it was documented that he purchased them for $700. Then when he purchased them, he turned around and granted them their freedom. It was documented by Frampton that it was believed that he was in love with Barlin's mother, and she was mixed race as well. And that when he purchased them and granted them their freedom, they ended up living as a family. So it's documented. And this was a very wealthy man. He was Scottish, came over here, bought land, had crops, tobacco, was in all of those industries. So he became very wealthy. Documented to have over 500 acres of land, all of that. And so with Andrew having been living as, just free from what's been documented, he was, let's see here, he received an education and the same advantages as very wealthy white children. It's written that William wanted to marry Elizabeth and publicly claim all of his children, but it was not allowed under Mississippi law. They did live together as husband and wife until he died. Now, Andrew was the oldest, so he inherited everything when his father died. Now, at the time, when he did inherit everything, he inherited a substantial estate. With his education and upbringing, he became a leading Natchez citizen, which is unheard of. This is 1824. Frampton indicates that Black jurors at this time were wealthier than most people, lighter complexion, probably able to pass. Barkland was light-skinned, educated, very wealthy. However, his ability to serve on juries was limited. He served at the behest of others who determined whether he was worthy for those cases. So that was 1824. Then it was another brother in Buffalo, New York, 1843, Abner Francis. According to Frampton, he was wealthy like Barlin, but he became a juror because of political activism. He was an abolitionist, an entrepreneur who fought for equality in New York, New Jersey, and Oregon. As a merchant, he and his brother had a leading mercantile and men's furnishing store, which I didn't understand why it was men's furniture store, but okay. His jury service immediately followed two mass gatherings in Buffalo. This is part of his activism. The Natural Color Convention and the Liberty Party's National Convention. There's evidence that Abner was called upon to sit as a juror in several cases involving economic crimes. So basically civil cases. New York at the time had a property requirement for Black jurors and voters. And so that requirement, like the requirements we have now is that you must be 18, you must be able to speak English, read, write, speak English and all of that, and not be a felon. These smaller places, smaller towns, they basically had their own, I didn't realize that was up there. They basically had their own requirements. Okay, Baba Jeffrey, you can change to the next slide. If I had known that was up there, it would have been changed. And so this dated 1857, but I really am skeptical about if that was really an accurate photo of a juror. You can change to the next one. Okay, so for a lot of the small towns, when they would, okay, first of all, do you know where they get the names and the addresses of people to send you the summons? Do you know the list that they pull from?
Voters and driver's license.
That's one.
Voters, driver's license,
DMV,
DMV.
the state. And so those are the three lists that they pull your names from, and they randomly go through it and pull your name and send you the card. In the 1800s, when it was said that, okay, you have to include, Black men if they fit all of these requirements, that, you know, whether or not they had land, whether or not they had letters of reference and so forth and so on. So then they would have a poll where they would have the names listed. But if you look, you can see that there's a C and a W.
Yes, of course.
So what do you think the C and the W stood for? Colored and white. So then they weren't randomly chosen because they marked they were colored or white. And then in other places, they would have people's names on different colors of paper. So if you were white, you'd be on different color paper. And so they still stacked the jury with who they wanted, which was not one of us. And so you can change to the next one. Okay, now this is certification that, okay, so once you've served, then you get a certification saying you've served, and so they're not supposed to call you for another 12 months or whatever. So interestingly enough, this was certification, so I found that interesting. Now, the other two brothers I'm going to talk about, they were in Massachusetts. Now, up until 2 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, these two brothers were known as the first Black jurors, up until Frampton accidentally found the other brother. These two brothers, the reason why they were known is because it was heavily documented. It was publicized and all of that. These two, they were barbers from Worcestershire, Massachusetts. And they were documented as the first Black jurors. And let's see here. Okay, so their names were William H. Jenkins and Francis A. Claw. Now, neither one of them waited for the citizenship to be bestowed upon them by the enlightened white anti-slavery men. To the contrary, they were among Worcestershire's most prominent and outspoken free people of color. Again, they were wealthy. So you can see a pattern here. So you had to be wealthy in order to, I think, in order to just buy your way on or buy your way into good standing, basically. So you could be chosen for one of these juries. Another thing I need to point out is that most of the time when we were on juries, surprisingly, almost all the cases ended up being dismissed. Okay, so yes, what a coincidence. And one case I read about, and I didn't want to get into too many cases because I started going down rabbit holes and it was just so interesting. But one of the cases, I forgot which president it was, but he ended up pardoning the white guy before there was one Black juror on the jury. And so that happened a lot. So it didn't even get to go to the jury as far as making the verdict. Now, these two brothers, they were interesting because again, they were documented as the first ones. And most importantly was that both men were embedded within a network of Black activists in Massachusetts and beyond, Massachusetts and beyond, campaigned for an end to discrimination against Black jurors during the 1850s. Now, this is so I cannot imagine even thinking that I'm going to be on a jury in 1850. You know, let alone, trying to vote with all the lynchings and everything that's going on in this time. But these brothers had the courage to actually, and the audacity to say, yes, I want to be on the jury. And they did everything that they possibly could. Now, the routes to get there, like these brothers did, it was either wealth or activism or both. And so these two brothers, they were known to be, Frederick Douglass in their ear, and they were all going to the conventions, and they were very active. And they also were wealthy. The two barbers went into business together in 1851 and started large families. And by the end of the decade, they were among the wealthiest Black men in the community. but it was not just their business acumen that made them notable figures in Worcestershire. Now, what was interesting about Jenkins was that he was born enslaved in the 1840s, but then around the age of 25 in 1840, he escaped a wealthy lawyer and landowner in Norfolk, Virginia. He fled north soon after his birth, the birth of his first child, who later died in Worcestershire. But Jenkins was not content to quietly build his business and family, even after the Fugitive Slave Act of 1850. And that heightened the risk of being kidnapped back to Virginia. At a packed protest meeting with some of the most honored men in Worcestershire community, seated on the platform, Jenkins delivered a defiant address. He said he would never be carried out of Worcestershire alive. He was prepared to defend himself, and he cautioned people. He says, "Do not come up behind me suddenly and place a hand on my shoulder, since I will not be responsible for the consequences." So these are the types of brothers that are like, okay, I'm going to be on the jury. Okay, I know I'm out of time, so I'm gonna go quickly. So got most of the information from just my sources, from Frampton, from University of Virginia, and a professor, University of Illinois, professor of law. Now, what she was interesting from her research is that she was saying if activism, as opposed to actions by institutional players such as the legislature or the courts, drove diversity in juries, it's easier to see a link between increased diversity and the decline of juries, especially when we see those institutions contributing to the jury's decline. Instead of Congress and the courts creating the opportunity for Black people to be jurors, Black people themselves created these opportunities through movements to gain access to the jury box. Just one last thing I want to point out, and I hadn't realized Frederick Douglass was really pushing for us being in the jury box along with the ballot box. He was quoted saying in the Philadelphia National Hall, "Opening the doors of colleges, removing the restraints of the ballot box, and above all, allowing the Black man a seat in the jury box when the Negro is to be tried." He was basically pushing for all of that. "And woe to this country if they refuse to meet the question fairly. There is some fiery storm of wrath in heaven red with uncommon vengeance for those who refuse to the Blacks the rights of citizenship." And one last quote from him a few months later. This was in 1863 at the Anti-Slavery Convention in Boston, and it was largely a white audience. "We formerly argued against slavery. Now emancipation is coming and another question appears. What should be done with the slaves? Where shall we, the colored people, stand? Shall we be wholly free as equal at the ballot box, at the jury box, and at the cartridge box with the white men?" The cartridge box, we know what that is. And so I just wanted to, my experience with the jury, and I was selected and I was on the jury for about a week. Interestingly enough, when I get there, about 80 people in the pool. And you know, when we go somewhere, we always look around. We always look around to see, like, okay, the white people looking for the exits and all that stuff too. But we're looking around and we're taking basically a survey. And it's about 80 people. Only one other brother was there, me and one brother out of 80 people. And I was selected and he was excused. And the jury was seated. So it's 12 jurors and then 2 alternates, mostly white retired people. And so these are the people who were on our juries.
Right, right.
This was a civil case. It wasn't a criminal case. And it was a couple of Asians and a couple of Indians. And this one Asian gentleman who's older, in fact, one of the days it was his birthday, he was turning 70. So we were talking And he's like, oh, this is my third time. And he wasn't retired. He actually worked. He's like, this is my third time, blah, blah, blah. And I said, so when was the last time that you served? He's like, oh, I served last year. It was for 3 months and it was a criminal case. And I was like, oh my goodness. And he was like, but it ended up being pled out, which he said, unfortunately, the young guy took the plea deal, but it was leaning in his directions for him to be, found not guilty. And I was like, oh my goodness. And so I'm looking at the jury and I'm thinking, if I'm the only one, and if I hadn't went and reported in, the plaintiff was an older Black woman. And when I looked at her, I was like, oh my goodness, what if I hadn't done this? And of course, my husband says that I was a bully and but I don't think I did. I just made sure that we stayed on point.
I say.
And we knew what we were doing. So this is, I would like to pour libation for these 4 brothers who had the courage, the audacity to step forward and say, as part of me being a citizen, as part of me being a man, as part of me being human, this is my right, and to go hand in hand with voting, to be a citizen and all of that. So I'd like to pay homage and honor to them. This is true. These brothers, they stepped forward, and I just want to pay homage to them.
I say. Run him.
Thank you so much, Mama Sia. That was good. I love it when I learn something from one of our historical tributes that I didn't know about, right? I mean, those conversations had to happen. Somewhere along the line, somebody fought for us to have those things because didn't nobody give it to us, right? Yeah. But to actually then get, a 10-minute tidbit to know where you can go dig to get some more if you want some more. I'm really grateful that that's a part of what we do here at Rose. So I'm gonna give that another ashe. And thank you for taking it seriously as well, because I appreciate that contribution. Thank you. And I like how she says Jenkins. Every time she says it Jenkins, I was like.
It was J.A.
Oh, it was an A. Okay. I thought you just put some ink on it and I took the Jenkins. That's it. So coming up next then, and again, thank you. Coming up next, we're going to have some music from Sounds of Maat, and then we're going to follow that with the Litany of Sacrifice and Baba's. Hear that, please. So Sounds of Maat.
Done forgot the song, but that made me feel she made me feel really bad, man. I ducked jury duty one time and now I just can't. I don't know. I ask forgiveness of the ancestors for that one. And so we praise.
Mama, see, you made me forget my song. For real, for real.
Just do better today.
So what was that, fam? Mama Sia made me forget all the lyrics to the song.
Still sounds good.
It was something about praising. It was something about being for the mamas, and for the babas, and for the children, and for the elders, and most of all for the ancestors. So if you can put that in your mind, while it kind of makes you shake your behind, you realize that you're right on time. Because, that's right, come on, come on. Praise, praise. Because you know the funk is a manifestation of the divine. And it's a manifestation of our culture and our relationship with the divine. And if you don't recognize that, you ain't recognize yourself yet. Pick it up. That's your musical interlude.
Beautiful.
That was a good song.
Whatever it was. Whatsoever.
Get some lyrics.
Y'all was singing it in your mind, all right? Y'all had it, right?
I never got past praising, but I guess that's all right.
Well, it was a praise song, so you could feel that then. There you go.
Yeah. But, okay, Baba Study, I believe this is you. Please come forward. The litany of sacrifice.
Greetings, everyone.
Greetings.
I assume that we're gonna put it up so I can read it. That means that everybody should stand up. Old folks stand up. Young folks, show stand up. Not trying to be funny. Yeah, I got it. Save us, O Holy. Save us, O Holy One, by your name. Vindicate us by your might. Hear my prayer, divine protector. Listen to the words of my mouth. How can we pay the Holy One? Give them the gift of trust. We will lift up the cup of salvation. All of God, our ancestors. We will fulfill our vows for our Creator and the presence of all our people. Let we bring our sacrifices to you. We praise your name, O on the rock, for it is good. Now, Moja. Unity. We shall strive to maintain unity in the family, community, nation, and race.
Self-determination. We shall define, name, create, and speak for ourselves.
Ujima. Collective work and responsibility. We shall build and maintain our community together. Our brothers and sisters' problems shall be ours to solve together.
Together we shall build and maintain our own businesses and together
Nia, purpose. We shall make our collective vocation the building and development of our community and the restoration of our people to our tradition, greatness.
Creativity. We should do as much as we can, in any way we can. Leave our community more beautiful and beneficial.
What these brothers over here got. Creativity. We should do as much as we can in any way we can to leave our community more beautiful and beneficial than when we inherited.
money,
Faith.
We will believe with all our hearts in our God, our people, and in the righteousness and victory of our struggle.
Okay, this is time that we pass the basket and collect, whatever God feels that you can give or cannot give. I think we have, you do a slow mail like old folks do it. Like, minister there, he does, he's relatively old. Or you could do it like young folks like me. Say community.org. You know, so there's two ways to do it. So those out there in Zoom land, you can do it either way. One going to Sacramento and the other one coming here to 84. 8924 Holly Street, Oakland, California. And the other one, P.O. Box 5271, Sacramento, California. Everybody can read better than me. So if you did that, we would really appreciate it. It kind of keeps the lights on. It kind of keeps everybody on the toes. So we really appreciate that. I will say a light prayer with the background of people with creativity and gloom.
Beautiful.
Okay. Heavenly Father, Divine Mother. Without you, there would not be a me and you. So we give thanks for the money that has came in. We give thanks, Heavenly Father, for like people of like mind coming together to do like things, to make us do things even better because we're doing things that we like. So we give thanks for those who gave and those who did not give. Those who had it on their mind to give and did not, was not able to give. So thank you, Holy One, for this day. May we all say Ashe.
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 You can sit down or you can remain seated. Matter of fact, I'm gonna ask that we get up. Come on. If he could do it, I could do it. I just was made a chief. I could do that. We are going to welcome and invite up to, is this a pulpit? Yes. Our minister, Minister Mally Kofi. And he is going to bring a very much needed word for us today. We are vibing, we're grooving, we're in a good place, we're in a good energy. We got visitors, we got family, we got friends. We're in that flow today, that woze flow that somehow we find ourselves in from time to time. Where it seems like we're all on the same page, even though nobody even told us what book we were reading.
That's right. Ashe, spirit.
So I'm gonna bring my brother on up here to give it to us.
Ashe.
Ashe.
Big shoulder guy.
Please say it. You gotta let the folks know, the visitors too, that they can sit there.
I just leave it there.
Yeah. Helmsman, please do not let our ship go astray. Life giver, do not let the people die. Shade, do not let the people dry up in the sun. Provider, please do not let the people perish from need. And protector, do not let the crocodiles seize us and drag us away. I'm going to continue to make that my opening prayer. Found in the Hosea, for me, it's a focal point. First, my responsibility as a minister is to provide something that allows us to progressively live better, but also to acknowledge the obstacles, the challenges, the crocodiles.
Yeah.
If you're not paying attention,
Right.
the crocodiles can get you.
That's right.
And once they seize you, they're gonna drag you away. So it's actually a warning, because by the time they seize you, it might be too late.
It's good.
Understand, what I'm sharing is, I'm hoping, is inspired by a relationship I have with the divine, so that your relationship with the divine improves.
Okay, thank you.
It's not a commandment.
Right, come on.
It's not a rule. It's not a direction, but it is a sharing. So I'm also gonna need you to participate. I don't need just people to be saying Ashe and amen. I need you to feel me so I can feel you. Can we have that agreement today? Ashe. First and foremost, I just want to thank the folks who've been on the program. And it's so good to see my sister.
Hey.
I know it's gonna be a very, very powerful energy that is gonna continue to bless us. And between me and the walls, y'all don't be knowing. Us minister folks really can get and need all the encouragement we can get, because we'll get plenty of the other. So I just love having my soldiers in arms. And her touch is real special. Real special. Also, the alignment of what was on the program. People might not expect something about Black jurors to be that important.
Yeah.
And much like Baba David, I feel a little guilt because I tell you, I've only served a few times and it always was because I felt trapped into it. That, you know, it was like, really, I've used most of my excuses and I guess they won't take it this time. And yet I see once again, that's why this historical tribute is always an important part of the service. Because it shares with us something that should connect us.
What a blessing.
Connect us.
Yeah.
So that we take things that may be a little kind of, and actually see that it's an honor, a privilege, and a duty.
Yeah.
Ashe? So thank you for that, Mama Sia.
Yeah.
In spite of your husband, you do the right thing. And then I just want to say that continually we get a gift from Baba David.
Yeah.
A lot of times we don't thank folks for some of the things we kind of see on a regular basis. We didn't remember, it ain't just people showing up and popping up. David is coming here while challenging his personal life. You know what I'm saying? And yet here he is, faithfully showing up to give his best of Kuoma. Thank you,
Yeah.
Baba David.
I come to get it.
All right then. See, now that's one of the things we might be talking about
Come on
today.
now.
Reciprocity.
Come on now.
That's a principle. So let's get down with that.
Yeah.
This is part 2 of an ongoing series. Tell you in advance how many parts it's gonna be. But this is part 2. Part 1, we were talking about upgrading the African personality, who we be. Part 2 is also about upgrading, but it's upgrading the African character, who we be. So let's talk about character, shall we? First of all, where does it come from? Last week I was speaking to, not last week, but a couple of weeks ago, I was speaking about a statement which I attributed to Marcus Garvey. And it said that I am African, not because I was born in Africa, but Africa was born in me. Actually, that's Kwame Nkrumah who said that. And that's an important distinction when it comes to speaking about the African character. Because where do the values, where do the stuff we say is so important that we be talking about, that where does it really come from? And then how does it show up when it's supposed to be there? It takes more than an outfit, although I really love my clothes. I ain't ashamed of it. It takes more than an outfit and an African name to have the African character. So let's talk about that. Can we talk about that? Yeah, I might step on a few toes. So Baba Study, well, not him, but there might be a few folks that might rub a little close to. But when we talk about who we be, first let's define what the essence of character is. Character is built upon an understanding about the inner and the outer, that there is foundation to who we be. What we have, there's that part where the family and neighborhood and all of that plays a role. I'm not going to do a message on psychology. What I want to talk about is how individuals have character that becomes family and community, because our character is built from a culture that valued at the highest community and family. That, yes, is made of individuals. So for you as individuals, there's some character building already didn't happen and needs to continue to happen, but more, even more, especially when it comes to Wosang, is the building of community. I want that to sit with you for a moment. So what is the character of an African built in community? Well, I got a few hints. It starts with Maat. Maat is a moral guide to living and not just existing, not just being there, but actually living better.
Say that. Come on. Come on.
Eventually, your outcome should be living at your best. Amen for that. But the process is how we take individual characteristics built upon my and become a community that is progressive, sustainable, and is living better daily. Come on with y'all.
How we doing?
I don't know. Come on now. Give me some amens or something. All right. But I do want to make sure y'all sit with me. Understand the challenge as individuals is not just for you to get it. The other challenge is for we to get it. So all of us improve,
Yes.
progress,
Yes.
and live better. Come on,
Yes.
y'all.
Come on now, sir.
Those principles, there are at least 7 of them. You find it on page 217 of the new book that we are studying in the 9 o'clock, which we just began off the ground this morning, led ably by the new Baba, Yasmin Iman, who this book is going to eventually become one of our sacred texts. We are already discussing it amongst the ministers, and we have also got an invitation that was accepted by the writers. Professor Kilimanjaro is going to speak at our ministers' meeting to talk about this text. And I've known it from the beginning that I picked it up. It was a source of power. Most of my messages come directly from it.
You? Okay. Thank you.
Page 217. Truth, justice, right order, balance, reciprocity, harmony, and propriety. I'm not going to take today by breaking down all of them in one session, unless, of course, you have a few hours. But today I would really like to focus in on how does these principles help us today? Because it's ancient information. A lot of younger people, that's what it sounds like, a history class. But it is actually a well-tested, well-practiced, generational mode of how to live that has existed for centuries, which has blessed for centuries, that is also exposes why we're struggling today.
Yes, say that.
In case y'all want to know. Yeah, I already know. I figured I'm not the only one that understand we struggle today. Not because there's something innately wrong with us. Please get rid of that. It's because we are using the wrong tools to compass the stuff we say is important to us. And that's not by accident. That's actually by design. We have to meet the challenge of being adults, families, individuals, children, workers, colleagues, by using well-tested tools and make them our daily practice. There are 3 areas that the Maat is supposed to impact: behavior, attitude, and psyche. Mind, body, and spirit. Those are the levels. The areas are behavior, attitude, and psyche. Something should be demonstrated in what you do. And then there's a stance that follows you, whether you're in your house, at the job, or in the church house. And then there's the psyche, the spirit that works on your inside to make your outside expression sensible, sane. Y'all like that? I do, because in case people, the Asadi know that me and Asadi both know what it's like not to be sensible and sound. And I ain't gonna speak for him, but for many years, I lived like that, if you want to call it living. The issue isn't whether you confess that that's true of you all. I ain't got to know your business. But to understand, if we think that there's a power innately in principles that are morally based, they're supposed to have observable effect. Your behavior shouldn't be the same as it was when you were 7 years old. I know that's a dumb, but understand there are some people who's trapped in the behavior, the attitude, and the psyche that they developed long ago. It's like these families, they're still mad at each other for something that happened in 1958. Okay, I ain't talking about none of y'all here. That struggle getting along today. So just in case you don't think it applies to you, think about this. How many things do you take for granted that you accept in behavior, in your attitude, and in your spirit that didn't start yesterday?
Come on.
They hung on to you for years. And imagine generations being raised like that over and over again. And now you don't really have to wonder why we're struggling as a people, a community, a family, and individuals today.
Yes. Come on. Teach good.
Ain't no mystery if you understand that even though, because there was many of our predecessors who struggled and fought, so that now we're sitting in these happy seats, there's also been a long-term suffering.
Come on.
And an unnecessary part of the struggle.
Yeah.
Because maybe the rules, the guidelines, the commandments, the virtues, the morals have not worked for our benefit.
Teach good. Tell the truth.
And I believe I win that argument because I look right out here.
Come on.
All right. Teach.
See, I look right out here. If your world is so great, raise your hand. I ain't said your life. I said, world, I know that. See, your life is good, but the world, come on. We got a great 2024 proof. You have an election for the most biggest position in our country between a sister who has got 20 years of talent, skills, and so forth, and a man who is not just not fit, but has a criminal history. If we have one charge, a black person would be disqualified. This man has 34 and more on the way. And it's a neck-and-neck election. Neck and neck.
Who can make a choice?
Wow. And they got some undecided folks still. Who, what, how? This is such a hard thing. Maybe I just won't vote at all.
Complicated.
Wow.
Complicated.
In spite of that ridiculousness, that's an example of where we really be.
Sure.
That's where we be.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, being who we be is our counter. Because see, in the chaos, in the madness, I'm not expecting the world to help support my sanity.
Yes. Come on.
I don't know about y'all.
Come on.
I'm just saying, I learned long ago, the world ain't here to serve my needs.
Come on.
The divine
Yes. Come on.
has allowed free will. Some people have perverted it, and some people have used it for the betterment of the human condition.
Come on.
That's why we're still here.
Yes.
Because if they all were sick and twisted,
Right.
as those people can be,
Yeah.
probably none of us would be here to talk about it. Then we're kind of the evidence also that there is a divine.
Yes.
Because how else can you explain us?
Hallelujah.
And it's a relationship with the divine that's not built on those, okay, I'll say it, Christian belief systems.
Don't be afraid.
They're based on something deeper, more fundamental. that doesn't operate on rewards and punishments.
Right. Now, come on.
It operates on elevating the human to the point that it elevates someone else.
Yeah, come on. Teach.
It's not just each one teach one, it's each one reach one.
Teach good.
Each one touch one.
Yeah.
Each one embrace one. We do more of those things, all of us benefit, not just a selective
Come on
few.
now, teach.
The issue of character has to be how much can you represent principles that didn't start with you, but must be a part of you. I want that to sit with you. It isn't an intellectual activity.
Come on. Teach good.
Even folks with small minds, even young children can understand the basic moral principles. Honesty,
Yes.
fairness,
Yes.
justice.
Yes.
How do you exemplify that personally? So that it is a practice, because we weren't born with it. What we were born with, if you read our own materials in our own introduction, is we have a spark, a piece of the divine in us at birth. So our heritage is to make that grow in us. And as it grows, it expands and touches more of us.
Yeah. Yes.
Now, of course, that's easy to say. The challenge is how we do it. How we do it. We be a people that takes action. We do stuff. Oh, okay, I'm the only one. We do stuff.
Yeah, we do.
And when we are well-founded, we do it well.
Yeah. Yeah.
We do it with style.
Yeah.
We do it with energy to the point people love to emulate us. Now, they ain't gonna give us credit for it, but they sure like to do it. They wanna dress like you. They wanna eat the type of food you eat. They wanna talk like you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh-oh. All right, once again,
Tell the truth.
I step on no toes. But see, we're the only ones that struggle with our identity.
Come on.
We're the ones that find every way to identify and call ourselves something other than Black. Oh, okay, me understand. We've been Black since birth. And in our family, we never thought it was something attached to being Black. And it wasn't based on complexion. It wasn't based on how much people married amongst themselves. It wasn't based on location. It was based on the spirit.
Come on now. Teach good.
See, you're as Black as you feel.
Teach.
And we ain't never had an issue with that in our family.
Yes. Yes.
And Black folks are ones that really struggled with it,
Right.
because white folks just didn't even bother to look.
Right.
They just said, all y'all. And you have to prove you wasn't Black. You understand? Because they did measurements. I don't even know what they call a 32nd, but I know they call them 16ths. They call them octoroons, mulattoes, and now the special one of being biracial. And the only time it's biracial is if one of the races is Black.
Come on.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, maybe that's some other folks. But understand the challenge is first with us. Because when we get competent, when we get confident, when we are assured about who we be,
Come on now.
everybody else just got to pay attention and respect it.
Thank you.
But we got to do it first.
Thank you. Thank
Please stop asking the oppressor
you.
to respect you and what you believe,
Thank you.
because that ain't in their job description.
Right. Come on.
That's how they become an oppressor.
Yes.
They
Yes.
don't become an oppressor by identifying with you and your struggles and your needs. So stop expecting them to do it.
Come on now. Teach good.
Do you have 300 years of proof, or you need some more? I just want to know. Me, I'm convinced. One of the things about maturity is with age, I am as stubborn as I am to be convinced anymore.
Okay, now.
It used to take 3 or 4 times me bouncing and bobbing my head for me to finally go, I guess that do hurt. Maybe I should stop doing that. Nah, just me, but you know, yeah, I come from somewhere.
Okay,
My
now.
daughter will tell you, I wasn't always a minister.
Okay, now.
I was 40 years old before I decided to quit being a fool and an idiot and misguided. I know some of y'all might have gotten younger. Took me a while.
Good timing.
It isn't because we instantly do better. It's because as we have learned, as we have been exposed to, as we have been given the divine blessing of unfiltered, unperverted, unbiased information, we do better.
Yes.
And see, it's easier to forgive folks when we recognize we are all on that same journey.
Yes.
Just trying to do better.
Teach good.
As long as you don't slip back, we call that backslide. As long as you don't go back to the old ugly behavior. As long as you don't keep repeating some of the knucklehead things the way you say to me, then we are both should be forgiving for being human.
Come on now. Grace. Grace.
If you don't qualify as a human, okay, I won't forgive you. But if I'm human, you gotta be human. Because those are the relationships we got. I ain't trying to unify with an animal. In spite of you pet lovers, I ain't trying to get on the toe. But understand, my real relationships with other humans, I don't even, well, I'm a good person. But the dogs might be a distraction. Just might be. Because some folks reserve all of their humanness for the expression to an animal.
I see it all the time.
That's how come some people are so lonely and then wonder why they're so empty. Because as much as the dog wags his tail, as the cat keeps coming to your house to get fed, they really don't love you. They really don't. They just show up to where they be fed. Trust and believe, if you stop feeding them, the litter might get challenged. But I ain't gonna mess with you animal lovers. There is a reality, a progressive process that the Maat calls for us. And we say it a lot on our material. There's a to do,
Yes.
there's a to speak, and there's a to think. To take my act personally, there's something I need to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then it should affect what I have to say to you and to myself. And then there's a way our minds should be thinking. Now, none of that requires perfection.
Teach.
None of us would be qualified.
Teach good.
What it does require is an honest.
Come on now.
That if that is true, it'll identify itself to you and it will make your efforts have an outcome that other people should know. This self-satisfaction about I know who I am.
Come on.
That's just how we look. Proud that we know what we really are. Well, how can nobody else know it? Maat is not self-centered.
Come on, teach.
It is self-aware.
Yeah.
It is self-actualizing, which means it starts in here, but it doesn't stay in here. Because if it's of value, I should be able to touch someone else outside of me. And it ain't gonna be because I said a good message. It's because they saw it in me. And what I do, what I don't do, what I get involved with, what I don't get involved with, what I go there with, and what I don't go there with.
How you live?
Mm.
How you live?
Let's go. I should.
Come on now. You don't have to guess about my principles.
Come on now.
Now, I don't say I'm a great example of all of them, but definitely I have some. And you see it if you know me. Because like my daughter, she saw me when I didn't have it. Or when my principal was a bit twisted. There's a difference of that me and the me that's here now. And it's visible. It's being touched. It's also sensory. You see it in my presence. You see it in the excitement I have, even just talking about it. I don't get juice because I had a lot of good coffee. I get juice because the excitement behind speaking to something I know in my personal life has worked. How about you?
Come on now.
I bet, especially if you were in a traditional church, there wasn't just one person that would tell a testimony.
Right.
I know Jaheed has a testimony, in spite of the fact his wife got a bad one. Okay. Understand, you know, Sonny, I'm talking about you. Every last one of you. My daughter's written a book about her testimony. You'll be seeing it soon. Oh, yeah, I'm promoting it right now. Understand. The reality is we all have had the experience enough to deliver a message with our lives.
Come on now.
Now, God allows us to define the pieces. Where do you show justice?
Yeah.
Where are you truthful?
Yeah.
Where are you a reciprocator?
Yeah.
Where do you have balance? Where do you bring up right order?
Yes, yeah.
It ain't no righteousness. It's right order. Propriety means it fits in its appropriate space. Everything don't fit in everywhere, but it is somewhere for things to fit. You don't have to have a scholar's education to understand these principles, but you do have to have a commitment to practice.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's why I don't accept that I'm a work in progress statement. Either you are really progressing or you're not. That means you're going backwards. You ain't staying still. You're going to get older. And the issue is, am my life progressing towards being healthy, wealthy, and wise? Am I trying to be whole, hearty, and hale?
Come on. No, don't want to.
I ain't gonna answer that for you. Just sit with that. What's your target? What's your Nia? What's your purpose? Are you just here to get up and make a certain amount of money and go home and retire at a certain age? Or is it something more? Now, I don't believe any of us, especially if we are true practitioners of Maat, are here to fix other people's problems. And I'm saying that as a therapist and a counselor and a minister. It's not for me to fix you. It's for me to sit with the divine and fix me. Because that's a lifelong process. That ain't gonna stop till I stop being standing upright. And I'm striving and moving towards a relationship with the divine that may be close to perfection. I don't know. But I do know I can't get you there. I can talk about it. I can share it with you. I can motivate you. I can inspire you. My job is to provide what the divine has done for me and then practice the principles that keep it in place. What's your job? Yeah. There was somebody was a member that always said, I'm working on my own black self. That's the issue. Working on your own black self. Working on the African heritage that you've been blessed with. Al-Kabalan is the mother of earth. By definition, it's even known as the Garden of Eden. That's why you gotta be careful about that Christian information you get, because you would have never read that in the Bible. But at one point, the continent of Canaan land was considered the Garden of Eden. It was so known, it was so powerful, even the Hebrews and the Greeks who wrote the Bible had to put it in there. They just didn't tell you where it came from. Understand that. The challenge is that I don't want to adopt religiosity. I want to adopt spirituality. Spirituality doesn't sit on top, talk about how holy I am, and condemn the unholy. Spirituality doesn't have to elevate myself by standing on top of others.
Right. Come on now.
Spirituality says that there is a divine guideline that if followed, it should have results that tangibly improve how you live. It just shouldn't work for me. It should work for anyone that joins and embraces the practice. It's called practice. Don't medical doctors have a practice?
Yes, come on.
Just for reference point. Understanding it is a practice because it's a lifelong activity that we should always get better at. Not like AI would say he was condemning practice because he figured he arrived at the best he could be as a basketball player. We may not ever arrive at a destination as humans. That means we ain't got to grow no more. I think that's usually at the end, just my thought. So as long as I'm breathing, as long as even if y'all don't let me come before y'all anymore with a message, I'm going to continue to grow. I'm going to continue to breathe, to expand, to take what the divine has brought to me. And even if I'm the only one talking in a room by myself, I'm going to share it with me.
All right.
Oh, because you never know how things can change. Understand, Maat is for us to grow, to thrive, and expand on all our levels, mind, body, and spirit. And I hope you're collecting the notes because it's a thing that we just don't get it one time. It's a continued coming back to and repeating and challenging and engaging so that we get better at it. Because as soon as you rest on your laurels, as soon as you say, I got this, usually that's on your way out. So I got a lot more time I want to keep. Just letting y'all know ahead of time. I don't have a retirement plan that engages this part. All right? What you want to do is take what God has graciously blessed you with and allow him to expand you beyond the treasures of what's the man, Jaleel, where they had the treasures that the prosperity ministry used to come from. And some of our folks got a hold of it and talking about the treasures of Jabal or Jahid, something like that. Had some name. And the issue was they wanted to expand their wealth, but they were talking about superficial.
Right.
What we are trying to expand goes all the way through. It should expand our bodies so that we live more healthy. It should expand our spirit so that we have a continual inner growth that moves us and expands us, and it should touch our mind.
Come on now.
Please don't leave the minds out.
Yes.
That saying about a mind is a terrible thing to waste. Well, wasting a mind is terrible. We were given the gifts of having a mind so that we, on whatever level we're at, work it through. That's what you all have. You can work it through. You can work it out. You can become more with what you got. That ought to excite you. It does me. Why y'all ain't good? Why you excited about the news? That every last one of you are adequate. That you're able. And you have the required tools
Come on now.
that you just gotta add to.
Thank you.
Any good mechanic knows you just don't stop with a hammer or a screwdriver or a wrench. That's why they have tool boxes.
Come on now.
Oh, okay, maybe I'm the only one that saw it. That's one reason why I knew I couldn't be a mechanic. Too many tools to keep up with. But when it comes to working on the site, when it comes to working on my spirit, when it comes to working on my mind and my body,
Yes.
I got room
Yeah, come
for
on
as
now.
many tools as is possible for me to gain.
Yes, yeah.
Now, the last one to come along might be my body,
All right.
because I surely have some habits
Yeah.
that I really struggle with giving up. But at least, even without the study's encouragement, I at least consider that I lower the intake of stuff I should lower. But I also keep tabs
Yes.
on it.
Yeah.
I don't just ignore it. And my mind, yeah, I'm so glad my mind knows how to distinguish between stuff that will work for me and stuff that won't. That's maturity, because you get better at it.
Thank you.
That's how we have parents who become skillful. They ain't go to a book and ask for somebody else to tell them how to do it. They get better at doing what they know. And then they increase the information they know. Y'all feel me?
Yes, yes.
I hope y'all with me. See, I understand that when I bring that information, when I talk about art, there are some details. That's what book study's for. Uh-oh. That's why we can't depend on everything we're getting or we need to get from Sunday. We also have to practice a 724 relationship with knowledge.
Yes. Come on.
724.
Yeah.
That means even when we're sleeping,
Yeah.
we may dream and meditate. Even when we're awake and we ain't in school, we ain't on the job, there's a constant gaining of access to knowledge and sifting through it and sorting it out. See, there's some details I intentionally leave out because I'm not you.
Come on now.
Some things are a priority to me. At 68, becoming 69 in a week, that's priority for me. Y'all ain't all 69, I think. I can safely get away with that. Understand what might be your priority as long as the order is right for you, not me. But it's got to be right. Can't be self-serving, can't be selfish, can't be built on negativity. Because in the end, your real gift, your real value is, did it do something for somebody next to you as well?
Come on now. Yeah.
All right, y'all? Y'all feel me today? Can I just say Ashe? How about if I say Ashe again?
Ashe.
Big Ashe at the end.
Ashe. Thank you, Bob.
Thank you.
Baba Malik Kofi. Thank you. Woo-wee, huh? Woo-wee, woo-wee. I'm seeing snaps out there. Woo-wee, woo-wee. See, that's young folks. See snaps.
Yes, young folks, snap.
You know, this is the time where we open our doors to those who are picking up what we put down. We're gonna keep it real, black and brown. This is the time where we say, if you have been looking for a place and you didn't quite know what that place was or what it was supposed to feel like or what they were gonna be talking about and if it was gonna sound different from what you've been hearing, but how different, because my mama said and my daddy said and grandma for sure said. So I don't know, the range of the difference can only be this much or the thing might pop, I don't know. But it sounded good to me. It sounded right to me. And it's coming from a place that I'm not even sure I identify where it's coming from. Is it coming from my mind? Is it coming from my heart, my gut? But it feels right. If that's where you are, that's a chair that you are sitting in. Come and be with us. Come and be with us and learn. Come and be with us and ask questions. Come and be with us and take one of the ministers off to a sidebar and say, there's some things that I don't understand and that I don't know, and I don't know how my past and my future are gonna match up, but can you,
Come on now.
can you help?
Ashe.
Ministers need love too, y'all.
Yes,
I used to be afraid to let that out. People made me feel embarrassed to be a minister and need love, support, help.
that's right. Come on now.
I don't care no more. I've been to Africa
Yes.
all year long.
Yes.
And it's okay.
It's all right.
It's okay. So, and in case you're wondering why I got emotional because I remembered when I was in that chair. And I remembered having gone through 45 years of where do I belong?
Yes, come on now. Come on now.
And it was just the thought of somebody else having that feeling and being in that moment that just come and be with us.
Yes.
Is there anyone? Is there anyone in Zoom that would like to join Wose? Wose Oakland, Wose Sacramento, Wose Almighty, Wose coming to a city near you soon, Wose? Okay, we'll be here next Sunday too. Well, no, I don't necessarily mean here, this physical location, I mean Wose in general. We will still be here and you can find us if that's what you want to do. Brother, would you mind if I take the liberty just to share a couple of things just from my notes, if you don't mind? I'm not preaching nobody's message all over again, but there was just some things that I wrote down and I felt the need to share it. And this is Mr. Makalisi's fault wherever you are. I hope you hear me. Because one of the things you were talking about was the phrase that people say about people working on themselves or whatever. And I remember a long time ago, I heard Minister Makalisi say that he didn't like people say they were working on, God is working on me, or they're working on themselves. He says, God's working on you. I need to see you working all the time at all times. I need to see you working. So I was all over just with Makalisi in my head, just with him in my head. It was a very cool thing though. There is a book that I'm going to be getting some of you for Christmas, Wose leaders in particular. And one of the quotes that's in that book is it says, leaders without true followers are just a man or a woman out for a walk. Let that sit with you for a minute. Leaders without true followers are just a man or woman out for a walk.
Yes, yeah.
You just just strolling. You just strolling. You should stroll. The other thing I thought about from Mama Sia, again, thank you so much for that historical tribute, because as I sat there with that information, and as I listened to Baba speaking of how just that coming into him made him forget the words to us, and I can relate, I can 100% relate. But what it made me think about is a challenge. You guys know I love a good challenge. What made me think about is a challenge, because every time we see that thing come in the mail and we're like, oh man, and we call ourselves hiding it under something, but it won't be something where we'll completely forget. We'll just sort of forget until it's more important, right? Or like they said, we start thinking of our excuse, or we start, yeah, right? Think about, there may be a brother or a sister whose day in court it is,
Right, come on now.
that we have ditched ourselves out of that appearance to be able to possibly be, as the sister said, that one brown person on the jury to be able to help.
Yes, yes.
And as she got in there and bullied up on everybody else back there in the room trying to make the decision, but that might be your role. Right? If you're the only one that made it, that might be the role that you have to take, whether it's in the positive or the negative. You got to be for all 11 who ditched out.
Yes. Come on.
So all I'm saying to you is my challenge to myself first and you is that the next time you get that notice at your door, to just look at it a little bit differently and say, you know what? There might be somebody that I need to represent. And I'm gonna show up for them. Because in this time we live in, with this system that we live in, that could be you the next month.
Come on. Come on now.
Minister Brown, can I add to that? Can I add to that? Because you know, sometimes we think about the cost, right? Like,
Right.
I'm trying to make this paper to pay these bills and I gotta
Right.
take off a year and then how much you get paid to do jury duty, right? But then we have to look at the cost to the person that we don't support when we're not there.
That's a good,
So-
yes.
Absolutely.
So we gotta, all the times that we didn't do it, we had to say we didn't trust the universe at that point. Because the universe presented us with an opportunity, right? And because we doubted, because we were in a moment of scarcity in our mindset, we didn't think that if we could show up there and then show up for them, that would work out. When it would have, because it will. If you're on point doing the right thing, it's gonna work out.
For real, thank you for taking it that extra step for me. Thank you so much.
We walking
Thank you
together,
so much.
sis.
Thank you so much. And then this is the last thing I'm gonna say, and I'm gonna give it, because I'm really not gonna preach another sermon. I just haven't been up here in a long time. But no, this is for you, Minister. This is for Minister Malley, because we're talking about this Maat situation, right? And we're talking about young people, and like you said, how they might look at that as history or something that's doesn't make sense or whatever. But you know, Maat actually has a beautiful and elegant simplicity to it.
Yes, yeah.
How many times have you read the Bible, the Quran, the Red Book, or whatever, and then you're like, oh, I'm gonna have to read that again 185,000 more times. Okay. Truth, justice, righteousness, harmony, balance, order, reciprocity. It's the doing where then it takes some effort. It's the fuller and broader understanding of, well, how do I apply that to this? Or how do I apply that to that? That takes a little bit more. But in and of itself, it's simple. And he put that in all of us with that septecti power, right?
Yes.
It's already there, no matter what your walk of life, no matter what you've been doing, no matter what part of wherever you came from.
Yes.
But see, I grew up on 22nd and Magnolia. And then I moved to 10th and Linden. Okay, see that on camera if you saw it, it was fast. Okay, so we had a different use of those words. Truth, we know that, we say word is bond.
Yeah.
Okay, come on now. Young folks, you here?
Yeah.
Some of you, well, for me, I've hit that age where 40 and under is young. So whether you're here, whether you're on the internet, whether you're gonna watch this next week, truth. My word is bond. We'll fight you about that, right? Justice. We just talked about that with the court system. We also talk about justice in the fact that they did what? To who? We gonna go get some, right? I'm talking about 10th and Linden. We talk about reciprocity. I did, you did what? Therefore I have to do what? He did what to who? Therefore we have to. Okay? Order. There's systems. There's rank. There's soldiers. There's bosses. There's middlemen. There's corner boys. What you saying? Speak up, young man. There's generals. You know what I'm talking about. There's balance. You thinking, how's their balance? I've seen a lot of scales in my days. I said it. If we're gonna talk to the young people, we're gonna talk to the young people. Some people think balance is I'm out there in them streets for 3 days, I come home and sleep for 3 days. I go back to the streets for 3 days, I come home and sleep for 3 days. Righteousness. We all have known that person, that bad, untouchable, greater than everybody. They would even be so daring as to say that they were bigger than the Almighty. Don't take no, you don't want to mess with that cat.
Get it right.
I said all this to say, in the name of my brother, Mali Kofi, we need Maat. Y'all already been out there living with these principles. You just been serving the wrong master.
Yeah.
And my question is, how has that worked for you? How's it work for you? Exactly. Take that with you. Truth, justice, righteousness, harmony, balance, order, reciprocity. The revised edition. This is Jose, in case nobody told you. What are we doing next?
Time to stand.
It's time to say that thing.
Time to stand like a people.
Time to stand like a people.
No, I'm sorry.
That's not-
Lift every voice.
That's not my fault.
Yeah, lift every
It's time to stand like a people and lift every voice and saying,
Like a people. It's just like every voice is saying something. Stand up. You can stand where you are. If you want to come up, you can come up, or you can just stand where you are.
all right,
And then we gonna get out of here.
sing to your beat, y'all.
And as we close, we want to say thank you to those who have been here with us today. Thank you for the wonderful service that we've had. And we want to close by saying the name that our people have said from time immemorial. Amen. One more time. And know that you are the most beautiful people on the face of this earth.